Hello and welcome to a new series called How to Beat, where I essentially talk you guys through how to beat dungeons, raids, and other things within Destiny 2, and maybe eventually outside of Destiny 2. Today we're going to be going over the Prophecy Dungeon. This is, in my opinion, one of the easier dungeons in the game. The mechanics are super easy to remember and the encounters aren't that difficult, so let's get into it. Okay, so pretty much as soon as you spawn, you're going to be in this room, and there's a blatantly obvious tractor beam right in the middle of the room, and you're just going to want to run through that. This is going to take you to the first room of the dungeon, the first actual room, where the dungeon intends to teach you about its mechanic that you'll be using through the entirety of the dungeon. Now, this doesn't count as the first encounter. You don't get a chest for completing this room, but it is educational on your first playthrough. So, let me teach you the actual mechanic of the dungeon, because I feel like if you have no idea what you're doing, it is a little difficult to pick up at first. Okay, I think this mechanic is quite simple and fairly easy to remember. As you can see at the bottom of my screen, there's like a white fog taking it over. This means that I'm stood in a light area. If I kill a taken knight, like this guy over here, while I'm stood in a light area, he drops light motes. You might be wondering what we need those motes for. Well, in this room, there are two podiums, one with dark energy and one with light energy coming out of it. These are those podiums right here. We need 5 of each mote to create a full mote, and once we've got a full mote, we can detonate that same corresponding mote, say light on light, dark on dark, on its podium, and then we can unlock the door and move into the next room, as you can see what I'm doing now. Okay, now we've detonated the light mote, you can see that the light is gone. This is good. This means we're doing it correctly. Now we need to move into a darkness area. Darkness areas are defined by wherever the light doesn't reach. You'll also see that the white fog has turned black. All this means is that whenever we kill a taken knight in a darkness area, you get dark motes instead of light motes. This is the other half of the puzzle. You just need to do this, get a darkness mote maxed out, take it over to the dark podium and detonate it. And before you know it, you'll be in the next room. This next room actually expands on the mechanic in a very subtle way. It doesn't change it in terms of practicality or how the game actually plays, but what this room aims to teach you is that the ratio to light and darkness in certain rooms will be unfair. As you can see in this room, it's very clearly more light than it is dark, and what this room wants to teach you is that you'll have to go to certain measures and hide in certain corners and draw enemies out to be able to get the dark motes that you need and sometimes to get the light motes that you need. Other than that, this room is basically exactly the same as the last one. As you can see, I'm just going through the motions and doing what I need to do here. So if you got through the first room okay, you can get through the second room okay. Okay, once you complete the second room, the tutorial for the dungeon is essentially over. You're going to want to just jump on your Sparrow and kind of just come down here. This is the main boss of the dungeon. The person who just teleported away is the main boss of the dungeon. We're essentially aiming to chase this person up this sort of like little parkour area. Every time you get close, she'll teleport away. That's fine, that's what she's meant to do. But you're essentially just going to the first encounter this way and she's sort of taking you to it. Okay, so once we've climbed to the top, you're going to see that we're now in a no respawn area. We want to jump this little platform in the middle here because this is where our first encounter is. You're going to see that there is a banner station and you're going to want to put a banner down just so you can rally to it. For those that don't know what that means, as you can see I'm putting a banner down and then I rally to it. It gives me my super back, my prismatic back, all my ammo and all my class abilities back. To start the encounter, we're going to want to jump into that little ball there and it's going to spawn a boss that's completely immune to damage. You cannot hurt the boss. All we're going to do here is the exact same thing that we've been doing in the last two rooms that we were in. In a darkness area, we kill a knight, we get some dark motes. In a light area, we kill a knight, we get light motes. As you can see, there are 2 podiums regarding to each. 2 lights, 2 darks. You just want to get them cleared, and as soon as you've done that, it's time for damage phase. All that means is the boss becomes vulnerable and you can damage the boss. I'm going to leave the footage in of me doing the encounter, but I'm just going to speed it up so that you guys don't have to watch it all at normal speed, because when you're soloing this, it does take a little while. If you're doing this with 1 or 2 friends, you'll probably already be at damage phase by this point, and you'll also probably one phase this boss because it doesn't have a lot of health and it's not very difficult to beat. So yeah, I'm just going to leave this footage in so you guys can see me soloing this sort of encounter. But yeah, it'll be a lot easier when you guys do this with teammates. Okay, now I've detonated the last one, you're going to see that the boss becomes vulnerable. Now you can essentially just do all of your damage, drop all your supers. If you've got prismatic, do that too, and just try and damage the boss as much as possible. You will see that some hobgoblins do eventually spawn, and then they can make the boss completely immune to damage. If you guys aren't doing crazy damage to completely kill the boss before that happens, you're probably going to want to get one guy to just keep an eye out for the hobgoblins, because I was probably going to one-phase this boss, and then as you can see, hobgoblins start to spawn, they start to make the boss immune. I'm not able to do any damage, I'm low health, I've got to get involved, I've got to start killing the hobgoblins. It's a whole nightmare. Just keep an eye out for them and you should be fine. Okay, since I wasn't able to kill the boss in one damage phase, he's become immune again. You can see that the podiums have turned back over and have reignited. Now, these aren't going to be the same patterns that they were before. They might be by chance, but most likely they're not going to be. In my case, I got 1 darkness podium and 3 light podiums. But other than that, the encounter remains the same. Just do them as they appear, and then you can do your damage phase again. Okay, I've just killed the boss, and with that, the first encounter is over. If this is your first ever dungeon, you're also going to get your first ever dungeon loot from this. I was going to grab mine, but for some reason this guy decided he wasn't going to despawn, so I had to beat the shit out of him. Anyways, let's go grab your first ever dungeon loot off the floor, which will be in the shape of that engram here, and we're going to move on to the next part of the dungeon. This was the first encounter, and before we get to the second encounter, we've got a little sort of bridging thing in between it, where it's this big open area, and we've got some stuff to do in the open area before we can move on to the next area that can give us loot. So let's go over that now, and then we can move on to the second encounter. Okay, pretty much immediately after finishing the first encounter that we just did, we're going to move into this sort of weird, sort of like purple area, and it's going to drag us down into it like quicksand. We're going to fall through this area here, but don't worry, there's no fall damage from it, because as soon as we reach the bottom, we get teleported into our open area. So this is actually a reference to Halo 3. There's a map in Halo 3, I think it's called Sand Trap. It was one of my favourite maps to play as a kid, and it's Bungie doing a nice little recall to that map, which is a fun little tidbit for you there. Our goal in this area is to get on our sparrows and essentially try to find some taken blights. What you will see in this area though is there are invisible enemies like this. This Minotaur here is completely invisible for the most part and will attack you on sight. Killing them doesn't really do anything, I just thought I'd kill him for the sake of this video. But he is actually a reference to Halo 3 again, because on Sandtrap in Halo 3, if you went out of bounds, you didn't die to a kill box or anything, you were sniped by an unknown entity. And I'm pretty sure the Minotaurs are a reference to that invisible entity from Halo 3. Anyways, we want to just have a look around for some taken blights. If you don't know what taken blights look like, it's pretty obvious when you see them. We want to essentially go inside the taken blight and destroy it from the inside. Those 3 taken blights in each area, we want to destroy the 3, then 3 more will spawn in another area. We destroyed those 3, another 3 are going to spawn in another area, and once you destroy those last 3, so 3 sets of 3, you can then get into the next area where the second encounter actually starts. One other little secret about this area is that there is a secret chest in this area. I'm not going to tell you where to find it because it is very well hidden and very fun to look for, but I will just let you know that there is a secret chest in this area and it's good to go for if you're looking to get certain rolls on certain weapons that you already have. Okay, here I am destroying the final blight, and then I'm going to very quickly jump on my sparrow and avoid death because they are trying to kill me here. I'm going to jump through this white orb in the middle of this sort of area, and you're going to see at the bottom left that it says the way is open. When it says the way is open, you can essentially go to the second encounter. We're going to drive around and look for a big square obelisk, which there is one here. We do know that there are 2 of these obelisks on the map, and only one of them is the entrance to the next encounter. But the obvious tell is that by the front door of the obelisk, that big white orb that we just jumped through to actually open the door will be waiting outside that door. So I know that the last one we've been to is wrong because there's no white orb, and as you can see, as I'm coming close to this door, I can start to see the white orb flashing, and I know this is the way to go. I'm just going to walk through this front door here, and it's just going to follow a straight line and get yourself to the second encounter. Right, so here we are at the second encounter. Let me show you how to do it. So, to start this encounter, you're going to want to walk into the middle like always. You're going to see that all these podiums light up, and I know what you're thinking, oh, okay, I've got to do all 4 podiums just like normal. That's not the case. You only have to do 1 podium in this room, but it is a specific podium in each room. You might be thinking, well, how do I know which podium it is? Well, let me show you. Okay, so, as you can see, there's a darkness podium here, and above it is like a weird sort of sand bowl. As you can see, there's a light one here, sand bowl, light one here, sand bowl, and light one here, sand bowl. Now you might be thinking, how do I know which one to shoot? It's pretty obvious. There's a light orb right above the podium that you need to get a mote for. So in this case, as we can see, it is a light podium that we need to get a mote for. So we need to go down there and get ourselves light motes. Okay, and once you've done that, you're going to grab your mote, detonate it at the right spot. Once you've detonated it, you're going to run to the middle of the room and you're going to get picked up in like a tractor beam. Once you reach the top of the room, it's going to turn on like an axis and you're going to do it all over again. One thing I will say that I didn't mention before, to get the knights to spawn, you've got to kill 2 hobgoblins. It's easy to tell which ones they are because they're always at like a height advantage, just like this guy is here. So pretty much once you've done that, the knights spawn, you're just doing the same thing again with the room, find which one's got the orb on it, and then obviously finish the room that way. There is one last thing about this room that you need to know. I find that this rarely happens to me, but when it does happen, it's important information to have. Once you reach like an axis again, it's turned again, you're in sort of a new version of the room, you might find that the orb doesn't spawn on any of the platforms that you're used to. Well, if you look at the very top of the room, if you look right at the ceiling, if the orb is at the top of the ceiling like it is here, all that means is you can do any of these podiums and it'll work just fine. So pick one of the podiums, literally any of them, and then activate that one and you can go into the next room as normal. Once you've done this enough times, I'm pretty sure it's 4 or 5, you're going to get picked up by the tractor beam again, but this time when the room turns on its axis, instead of having active podiums, 2 bosses are going to spawn. Essentially, you're just going to want to kill both these bosses and you will have finished the encounter. These bosses have super low health, so you can just shoot one to death and then just absolutely bomb the other with your super if that's what you want to do. That's what I always do every single time. But yeah, once you've killed both of them, the enemies will despawn and you can open your chest right here on this podium. Okay, so to move on, we're going to exit the same way we entered, which is this way, and it's going to take us back out into the sand trap map, like from Halo 3. From here, we're going to jump on our Sparrow, and you're going to see that the boss is here. She's going to keep teleporting away, and we're just going to keep following her. She's going to lead us to the other obelisk that was closed originally, and we're going to enter that obelisk, and then we're going to have like a mini Sparrow racing section, which is actually pretty fun. So once you get teleported, you're going to want to be pretty careful because it looks super safe right now, but when you get up here, it's going to be actually quite a big drop, and if you overshoot it, you could die. So if you're doing this for the first time, just sort of let off the gas here and sort of take in the lovely scenery, and then when you're ready, you could just move on. See how I fell there, but luckily because I'm on a skimmer, I was able to save myself with the sort of like skateboard grind thing that it can do. Really had to save myself a few times here because that's how messy this area can get. You can choose to do this on the Sparrow by following the orange path, or you can do this little platforming path if you're not so confident with Sparrows or you just don't want to ride it. But realistically, your main objective here is really simple. You just want to get to the really big sort of pyramid at the bottom there. I think this area can be actually quite difficult, but if you have a skimmer, it's actually super easy. I mean, just use the grinding feature to just skip over the massive caverns. There don't seem to be very many death barriers or kill walls here and stuff like that, so you literally can just do like shit like this. Even when you like falling to your death, you can save it and stuff like that and then just get back on with the sort of Sparrow race section. But yeah, essentially you just want to get to the very bottom of this area here. There's a big tractor beam right at the bottom that'll pull you up straight into the last encounter. So once you reach the bottom, you're going to get pulled up, probably on your Sparrow, maybe not on your Sparrow, and it's going to pull you straight inside this sort of little pyramid area here like this. Don't waste your time attacking these guys because they just for some reason despawn. But yeah, it's pretty linear from here. You want to just sort of go forward and you'll see like a weird sort of wall with like a symbol on it, and then that wall will turn into stairs. Once it turns into stairs, just go up it and you'll be into the final encounter, which I'll explain in 2 seconds. Okay, so as always, we've got a section for our rally banner, which we're obviously going to take advantage of. So let's explain this mechanic. So it's pretty simple. As you can see, we've got 3 podiums in this room that are varying effects, light, dark, obviously. You just want to do all three at your leisure. Make sure all of them get completed. And once all 3 get completed, we're going to stand in the middle where that white orb is, and it's going to pull us down into quicksand again, and then damage starts immediately. The damage phase does have a little bit of a knack to it, which I'll explain when we get there. But for now, you just want to make sure that you're doing it that way. Here we are with our final moat. We're going to quickly detonate it at the pillar here, and then we're going to stand in the middle where the purple is and get dragged down into damage phase. I'll explain to you what the damage phase is exactly like, because like I said, it does have a little bit of a knack to it. And once you understand that, it's actually a whole lot easier to beat this boss. So this boss has a mechanic where she throws like a weird force field like that. If that touches you, you get teleported right back to where I'm just stood now. And essentially, you can see that there's like this weird sort of force field around. And at the top of my screen, I also have something called dark entropy. If I'm not stood close enough to this boss, dark entropy starts doubling and doubling and doubling until I get like 15 stacks of it, and then I die. So realistically, I'm trying to chase this boss. As you can see, I'm getting dark entropy now because I'm not stood close to her. I need to get close enough to the boss to where I'm not getting any more dark entropy, and instead I'm losing it. But at the same time, I don't want to be stood too close to the boss because she'll teleport me right back to the start where dark entropy starts to build more and more and more, and I'll eventually die and wipe, which will force my teammate to come back and grab me, which might kill him as well. So you want to stay pretty close to her, but you also don't want to get hit by the teleporter like I just did here. So you want to stay at a nice distance from her where you're able to do maximum damage without getting teleported like we are getting teleported here. One other thing to note is we did manage to one-phase her here, but if you don't manage to one-phase her and she runs away back into the original arena that we were just in, all you've got to do is do everything you've just done again. Just literally get all the moat podiums done, and then you'll be back in this room and you can start the damage phase again. Other than that, that is the entire dungeon. You just need to do everything that I've just said and you'll be absolutely fine. Despite the fact that it is very easy, this dungeon is very fun and does give some really good armor. Obviously, because Bungie are no longer supporting this game, this armor is going to stay really good forever. What it does is if you have a set of at least 4 armor pieces from this set on, you're going to be able to get your grenade and your melee back really fast, depending on if you're using darkness weapons or light weapons. Really good in practice. It gives me my grenade all the time. It's actually really cool. So yeah, this dungeon's great, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.